Good afternoon and welcome to the next episode of the BFF show. And today I've got definitely one of my BFFs, Martin Bissett. Martin is really responsible. That don't sound right, does it? He's responsible for me and my new BFF branding, aren't you, Martin?
Am I? I can only apologise if I am. I'm sorry.
So this BFF show is all about planning and the power of planning, because not many businesses plan. And they're winging it. So we're going to talk about this today, all the pitfalls and all the good things and all the bad things about planning and not planning. So I'm Beth Flanagan, as I've said. And Martin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So guys, I'm Martin Bissett. I'm a 26-year veteran now of the accounting profession. Not an accountant in any way, shape or form, never will be, but one who has worked with accountants globally to grow their practices, to grow their teams, and to develop the firm towards something that's saleable ultimately.
Thank you. 27, did you say? 27 years?
26.
Oh, I'm a bit longer than you then. I think I'm like 27.
Yeah.
But I am an accountant and I've been for a long time. So
exactly.
There we go. So I'm a little bit more boring than you then, seeing as I'm an accountant.
Couldn't possibly comment on that.
As Martin's just said, he's been in this industry a long time. So if you're an accountant or a bookkeeper that's watching right now, if you've got any questions whatsoever to do with planning, then let's ask Martin while we're on this live. If you're on the live as well, I forgot to say this, if you can put hashtag live in the comments, and if you're watching afterwards, put hashtag replay, and let us know where you're watching from, as in which social media platform and location wise. We've got a couple of people watching already, so hi to you. So Martin, let's get straight on with this then. So we've all heard that saying, haven't we? Failing to plan is planning to fail. And that's absolutely true, isn't it? And you've just said you've worked with many accountants over the years. And I'm sure you'll have seen many of us, including me, winging it. I say this phrase all the time because accountants do wing it more than any other industry, I think, as well. Because we get into the business and we're really good at accounting, but then we shit at everything else, and then we're winging it because we've got deadlines coming out of our ears, and we know that we need to do a VAT return next week. We need to do payroll the week after, and we just forget everything else, and then we just get stuck in this vicious circle, as I call it, and then our business then becomes a little bit of a hobby, doesn't it? So what have you seen in the 26 years that you just said about businesses not planning?
I think one of the things that anybody watching this might be surprised by is that whether you are a sole practitioner or whether you are overseeing a 100-person operation, the issues are largely the same and the reasoning is largely the same. So in accounting firms generally, and of course there are exceptions, somebody's going to write in and go, we're not like that. There are exceptions, of course, but in general, what happens is that the training process that you went through to become an accountant did nothing to educate you on commerciality at any given point. You weren't talking about compartmentalization of business. You weren't talking about sales. You weren't talking about marketing. You weren't even particularly talking about cash collection or financial management, interestingly enough, for accountants. And so you know, in basic terms, how to complete a set of accounts at year end, how to bill for them, and that's the transaction that's sort of in it. And because it's required by law, then everyone's got to come and use you. Yeah. Exciting, that, isn't it? So what happens as a result is that you then say, okay, I no longer like working for my boss, so I'm going to go and work for a worse boss called myself, and I'm going to become Me & Co. And Me & Co. sets up as a practice. And Me & Co. might have spun out of another practice, or it might have been right from the start. But Me & Co. doesn't know how to be a business. It knows how to charge its time for money. And that's about it. So on that basis, it grows. It grows by accident. It grows organically. And you end up with maybe 5 people working for you, or 10 people working for you, or 20 people working for you. And maybe you end up billing $500,000 or $1 million or whatever it is, but you still don't know how to be a business. And because your business comes in by referral, then with apologies to everybody watching, you haven't got to do all that much to get it. Plus, you'll have underpriced it because you don't believe in yourself very well. So you'll have underpriced it. So profit margins will be compressed on that basis. So everything's a chase. It's a deadline chase. It's a work in progress, lock up, free up chase. It's a get that staff member to show up today, please chase. And everything's event driven. In an event driven scenario, there is no time for planning an actual executable strategy to get to wherever your ultimate destination is.
Yeah, and that's what I hear all the time as well. I don't have time to plan. And that's because of all the reasons that you've just said. And I'm guilty of this as well. When I had my practice at the beginning, I didn't plan. I just went straight in. Like you said, I got clients straight away. Then, you know, I niched in the trades and construction industry. So then Bob the builder then knows Mike the plumber. And all of a sudden I've got lots of clients and I need staff, and it's still winging it, as I say. And yeah, like you said, it's just doing the compliance stuff and not enjoying your business. Then is it you're not enjoying your own business, and what it is if like you have got a job, like we've said.
Well, critically, you're not in control of your own business.
Yeah.
So that always makes me chuckle when we had that era. This still goes on, but it used to be very, very emphasized that you used to be chartered accountants or chartered certified or chartered management, whatever you were, chartered accountants and business advisors.
Yeah.
Advising them on what? You know, how to run a business. Because there wasn't an example in their own firm that they could demonstrate, saying, here's how we do it, because they were chasing. So when you have a career of chasing and putting fires out everywhere and getting the bills out so you can get the money in so that you can pay everything, and it's that continual hamster wheel, then all of a sudden the career is 15 years old and you're no closer perhaps to where you were trying to get to, if indeed you had any ambition in the first place. If indeed there was any ambition in the first place. And so because those recurring fees, they keep coming in and they're enough to maintain the lifestyle that keeps you comfortable, it's like an anesthetic that goes into the veins and goes, oh, I don't need to try. No ambition required. I'm fine. And this is when business owners start to get very frustrated that they're not getting proactive advice. Well, you're not talking to a proactive person, so you're not gonna. Yeah.
And so out of the businesses that you've dealt with, which obviously must be hundreds of, if not thousands, what sort of is a rough percentage then of businesses that you see that don't plan, that just winging it?
Oh, I'd be guessing, so I have no evidence to back this up, but 98% minimum.
What, that don't plan?
They don't do any planning whatsoever. It's not in their nature to do so. I mean, I've picked that figure out. They said 95. You know, 9 out of every 10, at least, if not more than that, you go to an accounting firm and say, show me the 5-year plan, show me the strategic goals, show me the departmental targets over the next 3 years. If you go to a top 30 firm, you're going to find that. If you go to a sole practitioner or your general 4 to 12 partner mid-sized independent firm, you're not going to find that. Generally, the main ambition within a mid-sized independent firm is, I hate my partners, how can I get them out of the practice?
Really?
Yeah, that's what happens a lot. And it's all cloaked under political agendas.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on. You've got, you know, the average 4-partner firm is 4 sole practitioners operating under a common brand. And so if, let's apply this to me, in my life, when I was a consultant to the profession, if I wanted to get anyone to do what I'm asking them to do, I had to be an avatar of it. I had to demonstrate that, 1, I did it myself, and 2, I could show lots of other accounting firms that were doing it because of me. I had to be the avatar or the exemplar. And for business owners to want to pay the accountant some serious money, they were going to want to see the accountant as the avatar, as the exemplar. Right, you want me
a business advisor, as you just said.
Right. Yeah. So you want me to forecast. Let's see your forecast.
Yeah.
You want me to put money away for the tax man. Well, let's see you putting money away for the tax man. You want me to. You think I can get to 1.5 million? When have you ever got to 1.5 million?
Yeah.
So business owners are saying, well, come on then, proof of the pudding. Let's see it. And accountants invariably can't produce that. But what happens next is perhaps the most interesting bit. You would think, therefore, that the business owner client would say, well, you can't meet my ambitions, so I'm off to another accountant. That's not what happens. What actually happens is, oh, that's disappointing. And I don't know who else to talk to. And I don't know what else to ask about because I'm not really educated myself. So, we'll just stay as we are then. And the business client then starts to contract in their ambition as well. In general, again, there are exceptions, because they've got nobody pushing them.
So the accountants are missing opportunities massively, aren't they? You know, they're not planning. They're just then stuck in the ways. They've not got the time to plan, and they're just missing opportunities. They're just doing compliance work. They're not being able to then go into advisory work, build properly, and it's just a vicious circle, isn't it?
It is a vicious circle, but more concerning than that, they're missing opportunities and they're not that bothered that they're missing opportunities. That's the thing. You would think that would scare you into action. I'm missing opportunities, but that's what a commercial person would think. That's what a sales-oriented person would think. I'm missing opportunities. I'm missing potential money. Let's correct our course. In the profession, in the accounting profession, I don't find that. We're missing opportunities, but everything's all right as it is, and we're making enough money.
Is that what you see then? Is that what you see then? Rather than people going, shit, I know I'm missing opportunities. I know I've got an increased risk here and I'm not being able to make effective decisions, but I'll deal with that later on. You don't see that sort of urgency.
It's not like a manana, tomorrow. And of course, because recurring fees are producing what's required. Were there to be a discrepancy between standard of living requirement and recurring fee income, then I think we'd see a bit more urgency. But because there generally isn't, then the profession, which has typically attracted introspective or introverted types, you don't find too many sales and marketing people going into accounting. Therefore, they don't really push and they don't really have defined ambition, and therefore their clients receive that kind of vibe from them as well.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. It's proper, just directionless growth, isn't it, really?
Well, never underestimate recurring fees and the comfort they bring. Were there to be a legislative change, which there won't be, but were there to be a legislative change that says you cannot act for a client for longer than 2 years consecutively before they have to go and find a new accountant? Oh my goodness, we'd see consolidation like never before. Because panic would set in there, but that doesn't happen, and because it doesn't happen, and everyone knows they're safe as they are, then they become frustrated and wish it was different, but they don't wish it was different so much as to actually do something sustained about it.
Take action, And you've said there's not you've seen the bigger firms that have got plans in place. They've got to really, and they'll have got the commodity, the team to be able to do those plans. That's their job to do that. So the smaller firms, like you just mentioned before, Martin, that don't have the time to do it, they're the ones that absolutely need to do it, really, isn't it?
They need to. It's the question of whether they want to. So I'm painting a dark picture here. Here's the bright side of that dark picture. On the bright side is you haven't, for anybody who's listening to this or watching this that is feeling a wee bit ambitious, you haven't got much to beat, guys. It's a low bar to clear. You haven't got a cutthroat world out there of competitors willing to take your business off you. If you want to get your acting gear, you're going to be ahead of the vast majority, if not all of your competitors, very quickly indeed, because they're not doing anything.
Yeah, they're not doing it. And what in your expertise is the benefits of planning then? I know we've said a few of them, but what are the other main benefits then?
There are several benefits. If we're going to have a practice plan to say we're going to grow by 20% year on year for the next 5 years, and the net profitability is going to be this as a result, and that allows us to get to this X revenue target, which means that the EBITDA is going to be that, which means we can sell it for the other, which means I can go to Barbados. If there's that kind of structure in place, then that gives you a motivation.
Yes.
If there is a vision beyond that, a vision beyond the financial goals, that there's some sort of delivery goal, we wish to be the trusted advisor of choice in Cheltenham, or whatever it happens to be, then there's a buy-in reason there for your staff to come and work for you. I will never forget a firm up in Durham who had a stairway into their firm. And when you went into their firm, you were greeted by a very smiley person who sort of sat you down and said, the person who you're meeting with will be with you in 5 minutes. Just while they're on the way, on the wall over there, we have the 12 values that we look for any of our team members to have, not employees, not staff, team members. Our team members to have. Have a look at those while you're waiting. And if it's not you and it's not a good fit, don't worry about telling us, just leave. Just go. Don't worry about the interview that you've come for, just leave. And on the wall are these 12 things going that anybody who works here has this kind of skill set, or this kind of outlook, or this kind of attitude, or this kind of behavioral set, or whatever it happens to be. And so interviewees for that firm were self-selecting by staying those 5 minutes after they've been told to read the chart. And by taking up the time of the person who's coming to interview them, they are certifying themselves as being that type of a person. Now, of course, in reality, they're just trying to get a job and would like some money, please.
Yeah.
But now they know that if they get that job and get the money, they're now going to have to live up to that expectation because that's what they've classified themselves as to begin with.
Yeah, right from day one, yeah.
Right, so that's what planning does. So it sets a culture, it sets an identity in the firm, it sets a DNA, saying this is what we're about. Yes, we're about building value in the firm, capital value in the firm, so that we have a big sale for the partners to all retire off. Yes, that is what we're doing. But also, we're about client care, and client care looks like this to us. We're about bringing our team on through a pathway, a pathway to partnership, and this is what this looks like. And those are incredible tools for client acquisition, client retention, because clients want to be associated with that kind of success and that kind of outlook and that kind of drive. And team members go, yeah, okay, I'll have some of that. I'll join this firm on that basis. It's not just a job. And firms who do that, and there are firms who do that, they're the ones who are planning for their success. And it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. By doing these things, they're almost guaranteeing that it's going to work out well for them.
And that's the point as well, isn't it, Martin? Because when you think about business planning, I think a lot of business owners automatically think financials. Obviously, that's got to form part of it, but you just think financials, and then there's no sort of reasoning behind it. I just want to double my turnover, or I just want to, I don't know, 10 grand a month, and there's no reasoning behind it. But like you've just said, it's not just about the financial element. It's like the customer retention, the team, and how they are and stuff like that. I've never heard of that before, so that's quite a good story that you've just told there, and really clever, to be fair.
Thank you. Underneath the what, there's always needs to be a why. Simon Sinek will tell you that you start with why, and in his golden circle, you've got the how, the what, and the why's in the middle. And so, if you are doing if you are working on financial targets only, that's the what. But why? Why is it 1 million? Why is it 750,000? Why is it 10 million? Why can't it be 10.25 million? I was talking to somebody yesterday who is very successful in their own right already, and I was talking to them about their ambition. And their ambition, whether it's in their current setup or whether it's in a brand new setup, is they want to build a $50 million ARR business.
Okay.
So I said, lovely, very nice. Why?
I knew you were going to say that. Why?
Yeah. Why? Why not 45 million? Why not 258 million?
Yeah.
And he said, the reason for 50 million is that no independent's ever done it without backing. I'd be the first person to ever do it. I would be and it's so difficult to do in our space.
Yeah.
And they then showed me all this research that they compiled to show what's doable and what's not, and by probability computations on size of market, what they could do, how long it would take to do it, what kind of marketing would be required. And wow, it was thought through. And they simply wanted to be the first person to do it. The 50 million is almost arbitrary. It's almost irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's to be the first person to achieve the thing. And because that's their driver, not the money, the driver is, I want to be the first person to achieve the thing. There's personal glory here for me.
Yeah.
That I'm driven to go and achieve that number, which is a very, very big number.
Yeah.
And when we take that back to a practitioner watching this, or a practitioner's client that they go and talk to, same thing. Same thing. Why are you in practice? Why not just go home? Why not just watch Cash in the Attic? Why are you coming in? Is there a mortgage to pay? Is that the driver? Is there? Do you have to drive a Jag so that the neighbors will think you're good? Is that the driver? What's the driver? Why are you doing this? Because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort, and it's difficult as well. So there's got to be a why underneath the what.
I was just wondering whether that's my driver for having my purple BMW, but no, it's not. It's because I like it and I like purple. It's nothing to do with the neighbours. And Cash in the Attic, is that still on?
I haven't a clue. I went with the fastest day.
Yeah, whatever. You watch it every day. That's why you said it.
No idea.
So you mentioned about the team right from day one, just even at interview stage, for them to sort of have that perception of what happens in that practice. And I wanted to ask you about that as well, because again, business owners, and you said team, so this might not necessarily just mean employees. It could be subcontractors and other companies that a practice works with. But it's really good, isn't it, that you get your team involved. It's not like the business owner, the practice owner, right? They've sorted the plan out and that's it. I'm not telling anybody what it is. I'm not telling them the figures. I'm not telling them what it is. I'm going to do it all myself and everybody can just bog off and it's just me. That's totally wrong, isn't it? And it's so brilliant to involve your team, and that's where it pushes it even more.
Well, that scenario that you just painted there is born of fear. It's one of a scarcity mentality.
Yeah.
If I let my secret out, it will all collapse.
Yeah.
Somebody might steal it. Well, show me where it's ever happened. And then show me where it's ever happened more than once, And if you don't back yourself to come up with something better second time round than you did first time round, you don't really back yourself, do you? Yeah. So it's those sorts of things that I think constrict practitioners to not plan. But again, from a planning point of view, if we think about this from the reverse angle, if you are trying to be like the practice I described a minute ago, who have this 12-line, whatever we call it, criteria for working in that firm, okay? People who don't meet that could be described as not good enough, for example. They don't meet that criteria. They don't have those 12 things, or they don't want to have those 12 things. So let's say that was a B grade candidate, and somebody who says yes to that, an A grade candidate, yeah? So the B grade candidate ain't staying. So where's the B grade candidate going? It's going to the competition. It's not going to try and get a job at the firm across the road. So if you don't plan for what kind of team you want, then you're automatically saying to your competition, we'll happily employ the crap so you don't have to. We'll take the rubbish employees over here because we don't really know what we're looking for. So, we need people, capacity. So we'll just get people. And that saves your competing firm from wasting money on a wage.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, you are ensuring that the competition don't get staff that are as good as yours when you plan for what kind of team you want.
But for the team to be involved in the plan as well is what I mean, going forward, rather than just the business owner. That's crucial, isn't it, as well? And I think on a financial level, we are a bit scared as accountants to divulge our financials, to say what our turnover is, or what our monthly recurring revenue is. And that's silly, isn't it, really?
You don't even need to say it in figures, say it in percentages.
Yeah.
We're at 90% of capacity right now. We want to get capacity up another 30%. That could be it.
Yeah.
In terms of team members being involved in the process, I'd say probably senior team members, people who are earmarked as being the future of the practice.
Yeah.
Definitely. I wouldn't be asking the office junior what they think we should do with the practice. I wouldn't be asking them that. But I would find some way in which a meaningful contribution could be made by them, or they feel like they've made a contribution.
Yeah.
So maybe when we report results, we include everybody. It's a whole team meeting. Maybe when we go and celebrate our success, it's a whole team meeting. And maybe we include them that way. But in terms of actual direction of practice and responsibility for performance, I generally include the most senior people of that. And if you're a sole practitioner and you've only got 3 team members, then which one do you trust the most?
Yeah,
that's who you bring in with you.
Okay, so you hear this a lot, don't we, online? This SMART objectives, which is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. Do you agree with that? Hopefully you do, because we're going to go through it in a minute.
Go through it anyway.
Let's go through some of these then. So specific. I know some of these we've already touched on a little bit, but specific. So it needs to be what needs to be accomplished, who's responsible for it, what steps need to go towards that. You got anything to add to the specific?
What, by when, how, and why?
What, by when?
What, by when? What are we trying to achieve? By when do we want to achieve it? How are we going to go about doing that? And why are we doing it in the first place?
And who's going to do which steps?
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. All right, then. Measurable. We've touched on this a little bit. So you've got to obviously quantify the goals, whatever your goals is that you're planning to get to that goal.
Here's something that I find practitioners don't understand. They keep looking over at other people's working to see what other people are doing so they can copy that. Sort of that.
Other accountants, do you mean?
Yeah, as if their version of success depends on what anybody else is doing.
What, and you like social media and stuff, you mean?
I mean, all kinds of things. Hey,
okay.
What are they trying to do? Well, what's everybody else doing? Or what's everybody else buying? I need some CRM software. What everybody else using for CRM software? And it's this need to be validated by the crowd before making their own choice. Well, success is your own. Success is whatever you feel like. So unless you're modeling yourself on somebody else and you're trying to copy them exactly, why are you asking them in the first place? Go find out for yourself. So generally speaking, measurable is whatever you want it to be. And just like when a practice will go and quote for a new piece of work and then immediately go and have a look at, see if they can find out what they paid last year. And then we'll go 500 quid either way of that. Well, that might not be the right solution for this business. Think, come on. But it's not, it's just, just in the process. So I think the measurable is absolutely right. But what equals success on the measures is whatever you decide it's going to be. It doesn't need to be better or worse than next door.
Yeah, it's bespoke to you and your practice and whatever your personal and business goals is. It's not. Yeah, I always say this as well, Martin, because there's a lot more people. There's a lot of accountants that quite, they're online all the time, aren't they? You see them all the time, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, YouTube, and you think they are so successful, but that's not necessarily the case. And people can fib a little bit online as well, can't they? And they sort of look up to them. Well, they do, don't they? Could say
again, there's a herd mentality, obviously, within accountancy, and there always has been. And so when someone looks like they are what you wish you were, then they have your full attention. I won't go into this in great detail here, but for my own purposes, I have looked at my contemporaries, and I've looked at the balance sheets and the capital and reserves figures and that, other measures. And let's just say that what you see online and what the reality is are two separate things.
Different, yeah. There's popularity and just having time to do things online, and then being a proper business owner, running a proper business. They're sort of separate things, aren't they, really? But I think sometimes we just do look at people that's online and think, I want to be like them. But
if I'm a client of an accounting firm, or a prospective client of an accounting firm, and you, the accounting firm, want to impress me for some reason, then show me the stories of what you've done with other businesses where you've really improved their situations from where you found them.
Yeah.
Don't show me how the great new desks look with the new color scheme in the office, because I don't care. All I'm wondering is whether or not I paid for it in my fee.
Not even a TikTok dance or anything that wouldn't impress you?
Not even.
No.
Not even. Let's say that not every client is like me.
All right, so we've done specific and we've done measurable then. So what about achievable? So like you've just said about the other company that's got the 50 million, they believe that that's achievable. But say if I want to achieve 50 million this year, there's no way I'm going to do that.
I think you're absolutely right. I remember being in a training course with a gentleman who I respected greatly in the audience, and we were being taught, and it was about affirmations or something like that. And they said, if you want that Rolls Royce, you can have it. You've got to believe it first, then you've got to manifest it. Yeah. And he wasn't having it. He was saying, I will never, ever drive a Rolls Royce. I will never earn enough money. And he had decided his own fate for himself. He couldn't put any reason around it as to why he couldn't have a Rolls Royce. He just decided that's never going to happen for him. He can't possibly. So what was achievable for him was very much defined by him. I also remember doing, the most popular keynote I ever did was something called Build the Pipeline, where we actually found money from the audience there and then. And there was this category in the presentation where we looked at blue sky clients. So who would you love to act for?
Yeah.
If you could act for anybody.
Robbie Williams.
Well, as the years went on, I had to deal with answers like that. As the years went on, I had to start putting context around it and say, think about your local area, think about the most profitable businesses, who are winning the business award, that sort of thing, the avatars. Because once I got the answer from a provincial accountant, Mothercare PLC. Right. And I'm like, okay, you don't have the clout, the technical knowledge, the staff, the resources, the technology. You don't have anything. That's not achievable.
Yeah.
So yes, achievable. We have to have a realistic, but not pessimistic outlook on what we can do.
Yeah, definitely optimistic and definitely reach for as high up there as possible. But, if it is unrealistic, then you're just setting yourself up to just be not happy. It's never going to happen, is it?
Right. And there'll be a counter argument to that says, but even if I reach for 100 feet jump and I reach 50, that's higher than I would have jumped otherwise. And all right, fine, but you still didn't get the work and you still haven't got the client and the money's still not in your bank account. So I'm gonna pull rank on that and say that wasn't good enough. If you'd have gone achievable, you might have jumped 50 feet anyway. Yeah. So I think it is important to look at what is realistic, but don't limit yourself in the way that my colleague did in that training course.
Did he want was it a Rolls Royce, you said?
Yeah, Rolls Royce.
Did he actually want one though?
No, it was just something put out by the trainer. Right. It was just trying to deliver. The trainer was just trying to deliver an example of an ultimate. Yeah. So Rolls Royce is the ultimate in automobiles, sort of thing. He was trying to think from that point of view, and I was going to say his name then. The guy, my colleague. I wonder if he's still around. He just decided that he was of a social standing, an economic standing, a personal domestic circumstance that was never going to allow him to own one.
Right.
He decided there and then, and I can't see any reason why I couldn't have owned one, but he could.
Yeah. Well, yeah. All right. Next one is relevant. So this is about thinking about the big picture. Why you're setting the goals that you're setting for yourself. Comments?
Yeah. Of the trillions of things that bug me on a daily basis, one of them is trillions. One of them, like over-exaggeration, for example, that bugs me as well. But for example, there are a lot of articles that come through to the accounting profession, typically written by non-accountants, who say things like, what accountants can learn from Lady Gaga.
What?
You know, yeah. And what accountants can learn from Elon Musk and Tesla and this sort of thing. And as if they were comparable. As if they were comparable. Not taking into account the behavioral set, the training, the cultural conditioning of an accountant in the profession, not taking into consideration any of those things, just, oh, they did it, so you can too. You know, okay, interesting. And so when they are when they're realistic goals, when they are things that are relevant, you need to know that there's someone somewhere similar to yourself that's already done it. So if you're in a £1 million practice, okay, go find the £1 million practice that's done the thing you're trying to achieve. Prove that there's a precedent to it, because that will speed you up and go, okay, now I can see that's doable. They did it, and they are very similar to us in all of these different ways.
Yeah,
you know, trying to compare yourself to somebody in the arts, in sports, or in entertainment is a non-relevant comparison.
Yeah. If somebody's been there where if somebody's got to where you want to be, then in the same situation as you, that is relevant to you, then there's absolutely no reason why you can't sort of not copy them, but follow the path and what they've done for you to get there a bit quicker. Yeah,
and I have it in my own life. My original mentor had achieved things I never thought were possible. He has sadly passed away now. I regard him as a genius to this day. I have now surpassed what he did, but at the beginning, I couldn't see any way as to how to get to 25% of what he did. It looked too far ahead for me, but he had done it. And that's what set me off my course. I said, right, okay, if you're prepared to teach me, I'm prepared to learn.
Yeah.
And it was achievable after all. But from the start, it looked like a mountain that you couldn't climb, too high, too steep. Day at a time. Day at a time.
Day at a time. I thought you were going to start singing then.
No, not intentional, not until the end, when I do my way.
Timely, the last one then, Martin, timely. So what's the time horizon? Who's starting what task when? When will you be finished?
If I use the initial example, because it's the one I know best, of winning new work, then an accountant will go on a meeting with a prospective client, however they've come about. They might be referral, they might have come in through marketing efforts or whatever. And the feedback will be something like this. Great meeting. We talked for 2 hours. There's a lot we can do for them. And they're going to send me their books and records, and I'm going to go back to them with a proposal. When? Oh, it'll be the next few days. And of course, it never is in the next few days. And then the accountant has to start chasing. And then they feel like a pest for chasing. So then they stop chasing. And the business owner, who needs the help of the accountant, hasn't got the help of the accountant. They're too busy. So they don't get around to it either. And then it's been 6 months all of a sudden. So whether it's that, or whether it's asking for a raise in performance from a team member, or whether it's an internal economic goal, or whether it's a technology upgrade within the practice, or whatever it is you're trying to achieve and why ever it is you're trying to achieve it, there has to be a deadline. A goal is a dream with a deadline, as is said many times. There has to be a deadline attached to it to give some form of endpoint, accountability, work back from point to say, okay, by then it's got to be achieved for this reason. Therefore, I need to start here today to get there in time. And that's why it must always be time bound.
And to break that down as well, because obviously if you've got a big goal that needs to happen, whatever that goal must be, you can't go from here to there overnight, can you? So you've got to break it. And it gets overwhelming as well, doesn't it? If you have got a goal that you want to achieve and you don't know where to start, that's when you need to plan even more so and break those goals down into achievable steps with a timely manner. So it all sort of rolls all together nicely, doesn't it, really, all these smart objectives?
Yeah, almost as if they were designed to do that.
Exactly that, yeah.
You ask any firm who's ever shown an ambition to be involved in marketing proactively, why they didn't have their marketing meeting this week that they absolutely promised, come hell or high water, they were going to have. The answer will be, oh, there was a client call and we had to deal with the thing that happened because they couldn't pay the payroll and they weren't able to pay wages, so we had to get involved straight away and sort of. And it will always be something urgent happened, and therefore the long-term thing got kicked down the road another week.
Exactly.
And what you find is, and I've said this previously, I'm on my third generation now of accountants, and I'm hoping that this one's different because the first two, they never did get around to it.
I thought you were only 21.
I look at that, I know. But in reality, they never did get around to it. They retired, passed away, or sold to the cheapest bidder because there was no other alternative because they had no real value to sell other than recurring fees. They chased deadlines their entire career. And the saddest thing about that is that clients don't remember them 10 years later. It's as if they were never here in the first place.
And that is really sad, actually, from what you just said, to be fair. They've just literally lived their life running their own business, but not really.
What was it for other than paying the mortgage? What was it for?
Yeah.
And I've seen two generations do that now. And so I'm hoping this third one, which I'm much more diverse, much more tech savvy, much more hungry, but lacking experience and a bit of wisdom. I'm hoping they are going to buck the trend completely, and we'll see a generation now, which are the current 25 to 40-year-olds. We'll see them come through over the next 10 to 15 years that will redefine what an accountant means to a business owner.
Well, like you said, the accountants nowadays, they've really got no excuse, have you really? They can't use time anymore because there's that much technology out there that automates stuff and synchronizes stuff that there's no excuse. Well, to not be able to do this and have a better life for themselves. Because ultimately, that's what it's about, isn't it? It's like you said, you can have a business that just pays your bills, but why do you not want more for yourself and your family?
From a selfish point of view, there's an enormous amount of opportunity out there for the accountant. From a selfless point of view, there's an awful lot of good you can do for business owners by applying your knowledge to their situation. So there is a huge amount of opportunity there, but again, there's not a lot of ambition.
No. Well, we need to change that, don't we?
Individual needs to change that. If I don't have enough ambition, it's my job to change that.
Yeah, no, I get you. Brilliant. So the moral of the story of this BFF live session is you've got to bloody plan. You've got to do it. And if you've not done it yet, you've got to start and you've got to make the time to do it. There's no excuses. We've given you all the reasons why you should do it. We've given you all the negative stuff that you're already experiencing because you're not planning now. So what's stopping you?
Yeah, it's not even negative. It's just realistic. It's just a painting a picture of how it is. And I think to anybody watching, I would say, choose your future.
Yes.
Don't be fear-baited into becoming some sort of, ambition-led individual. If that's just not you, if that's not what you want, if you want to plod through, go and plod through. But hopefully there is some percentage of the audience that doesn't just want to plod through, that is looking for support and encouragement to achieve more and don't know where to start and are bogged down by the day-to-day. And for them, for that portion of the audience, I'd say it's all there for you. It's waiting for you. Every day is yours to win. But you're going to have to choose it for yourself. If you don't choose it for yourself, it's very, very hard to make happen.
It's not going to happen yet. What are the Frank? Hi, Frank. You're right. I know Frank. It's very good, Frank. 6 P's of planning. Is this that military saying?
The one I remember is positive planning prevents poor performance.
Yeah, so I can swear. It's my show. It's fine. Yes, there you go, Frank. Exactly. Right. I've got some. I am selling, I suppose, but it's for the benefit of you listening. I don't do selling. It's not very nice. But talking about planning and the need to do it, like we've just mentioned for the last 40 minutes, I've got coming up on the 3rd of October at 9:30. It's an online course called Business Planning. I was going to call it Business Planning Masterclass, but I've changed it. Business Planning Boot Camp. So it's a 3-hour session where we're online together. We're going to go through and get your goals out of your head, get everything out of here, get out of your head what you want to achieve in the next 3 months. So that's the last quarter of this year, 2023. And we're going to break it down and we're going to get it all sorted over the next 12 weeks. So you know exactly what you need to do to smash some goals and get that planning sorted before the end of the year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the link to it is through Eventbrite in the comments when we finish this live in a second. But Martin, just before we go, and thank you very, very much. I know you're very busy, and thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. But what is your last tip of advice before we leave everybody to their day on planning?
If I could pre-program an accountant's brain, I would program them to understand the value that they bring to business owners, especially financially illiterate business owners, which is most of us.
Yeah.
And they don't understand how instrumental they have been in helping us to avoid business closure, helping us to avoid marriage breakup, helping us to avoid mortgage repossession, that sort of thing. That is the value we have on the fear side. On the greed side, the accountant has the ability to take a business owner to its ultimate professional aspiration, Yeah. It can make that happen. It does make that happen every single day. I've got 26 years worth of proof of that. But it doesn't bother to collect those stories, and it doesn't bother to tell anybody else about them. So if I would offer a tip for anybody watching this, you guys viewing are sat on a treasure chest of stories, either that you've achieved yourself or you've seen your colleagues achieve along the way in other firms. Collect them, because you need to understand how powerful you are in the life of a business owner when we don't know which way to turn. You are literally the without whom. You know how you get an award and they say, I'd like to thank so-and-so for this award, without whom it wouldn't have been possible. You are business owners without whoms. Get that through your skulls and then go tell people about it, please, because it will make an enormous difference to your bottom line and to their future.
And you've got some brilliant videos about this. Am I okay to share those from your YouTube?
Sure, absolutely.
They're brilliant, your videos that show that visually. So I'll pop them in the comments as well. So thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks on the next BFF show. And thank you so much again, Martin. You've been fabulous, and we'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.